My mom, she got depressed, and there were things happening to her that I think that not even God would believe, you know. It was such a dark time. And then she started threatening my life and threatening my father's life so many times. And that was my life. My life was to try to keep my father alive, because I had to call the ambulance I don't know how many times, and the police how many times, because all of a sudden she would start attacking him, and then she would faint, for example, and then I had to call the police, the ambulance, and they couldn't do anything, you know. Then one day, she threatened me for 2 hours. She made me lock myself in my bedroom in order to defend myself. And she threatened me for 2 hours while my father was away in his treatment. She said that she would hit me so hard, so hard. And after all of that, she would just pour salt on me to make everything hurt. After that, I got so traumatized and so tired of everything that in the middle of the night, it was, I believe, 28th or 29th of October in 2021, I decided to pack the little things I had and just leave the place that I was that I was born, and I was living for 20 years, you know. So I remember that weekend that I spent on the couch of a friend because I didn't have anywhere to go. And I was graduated already, and I had gotten the job that I wanted at the school I wanted, you know, in my city. Everyone wanted to work there. The teachers, they were all older than me. I was the youngest there. And then I was already in a relationship with my husband, but it was an online relationship. You know, he had gone to Brazil to meet me and such, but like I wasn't ready to just leave Brazil and come here and get married. You know, I wanted to, at that point, I was already enrolled in masters. So I wanted to finish my masters, and then maybe if everything went right, I would come here. But then I had to live 2 months in a rented bedroom because I didn't want to leave my students, you know. I didn't want to disappoint the school principal because she really gave me the opportunity of being there and all of that. And then 2 months teaching. And when December 2021 came, I told them that I was going to leave, and I came here to Slovenia, you know, to live
Okay.
with my husband. And in January 2022, we got married. I had left my country behind, my job that was so hard to get, my culture, everything, to come here during winter. And I suffered a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, I have been living in Slovenia for 4 years, and I suffered so much, so much. You know, I experienced being unemployed, and working has always been essential for me because I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be different from my family. You know, I wanted to be different from my mom that depended on her whole life on my father, you know. And then I saw myself in this situation
Mm.
here. I didn't have that honeymoon period that all my friends, Brazilian friends, say when they come here. Oh, I had 2 months that I was so happy. Oh, it's so beautiful. I can have access to this. No, I didn't have. I started suffering a lot because I was unemployed and I had left my life behind, you know. I started teaching Portuguese for foreigners after 3 months of being here, but I remember that it was online, so I didn't have a proper contract. And I was all the time thinking, oh my God, I need a proper contract. I cannot simply depend on my husband. I cannot simply
Yeah.
have what they call here an SP, which is like one form of work that you open your own company, you know, and then they pay you for For the classes you teach, for example, you don't have any rights. You know, you don't have the
Yeah.
right to retire. You don't have vacation, and all of that. And I was
Understand.
all the time worried about that, all the time. Um, and then I quickly realized also that speaking English wasn't enough. Because when you are born in Brazil, you have the illusion that the whole world speaks English. It's not true. It's not true. And the Slovenian language is one of the hardest languages that I have ever seen. I remember that when I saw everything in Slovene, I had a panic attack and I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. I have been to so many interviews in this country that I lost track. I lost track
Yeah.
how many interviews I have gone through and how humiliated I was. I remember that I went to those agencies that you can try finding jobs. And the guy from the agency, he looked at me and he said, with your education, I would go back to your country. Because imagine a school hires you and then parents will want to know who is the teacher. They will find out it's a Brazilian and then they will say, no, I don't want. So if I were you, I would go back to your country. I have gone through very, very difficult circumstances in my life, but being here was so hard for me in these 4 years that I got depressed for the first time in my life. Without realizing, a Brazilian friend older than me that went to college with me, one day she said, Paula, I think you are depressed. you know.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I visited a mental hospital because I really wanted, there were times that I really wanted to just disappear, from this place. I remember Brazilians saying, you will never get a job in your field here. You can give up, But I tried to overcome all of those things. And I am a person that even my therapist says that I moved by challenges. And that's why when this Brazilian and also this agent told me things like that I felt so humiliated, I said to myself, I want to know who will not work here at a school anymore. I want to know. And then I kept going to interviews and I found a job as an English teacher at a Slovene school. And I worked there for a year and a few months because there I found out what it's like to be among this nationality. They are quite different from Brazilians because there we are mostly poor, but we are happy. If someone falls on the
Yeah.
streets, we help. If someone doesn't have something, we help. If a teacher is teaching and if she or he chose this and our students are suffering, we're going to be closer to our students. And at this school, I wasn't allowed to be closer to my students to show affection. But this was something that was part of me, part of who I was
Yeah.
as a person. And I found out that too
Mhm.
late. Too late. That's why I became sick again, depressed again at the school, because again, I was so humiliated there, because it was all the time. You cannot be this close to the students. You cannot, and this kind of thing. So different from my own world. I think that nowadays maybe I'm learning how to balance this, because I think it's something also part of their culture that I must respect. I try to balance, but even nowadays that I work at an international school, I cannot just not treat my students with what I call the revolution of affection. I care about them. Of course, I'm strict with them because I have kids, I have teenagers, and all of that. I need to be quite straightforward, but I still keep giving this affection to them because I cannot teach without that. And
Yeah.
here I am after 4 years. You know.
That's yeah, I don't know what to say. That's a very tough story. You've gone through a lot at a very young age, and I guess that taught you to grow up very early,
Yes.
to take care of yourself. I think you come across right now as like really strong, and you know how to take care of self now, independent, because you had to learn it, you know?
Yes.
When you go back to that moment where you said you packed your bag and you left in the middle of the night, I'm very confident that it just didn't happen overnight, but you were thinking about this for some time, and until you were fed up. Everyone has his limit, and this is when you then packed your bag and you left. When you left, did you then go straight away to? You said you went to your friend. It was a friend in Brazil that
Yes,
you have there.
it was like this. So I lived in this small city. I had graduated already at that point, but I traveled to this friend's city for 5 years because it was where I studied. So I told her everything that was happening, and she said, "Come here." And I remember that I felt so bad because I had never left my home completely, because I was always with this fear of my father dying and I couldn't do anything. So that's why I never went to college to live at that city. That's why I was traveling every day, because I kept this fear inside of me. And my father he still is, but a very weird man related to money. I mean, if we were poor as a family, you can imagine how he was poor when he was growing up. So he became very attached to money his whole life because he was so afraid of not having it. And my father, although he is very sick, he didn't want anyone to have access to his bank account, for example. So I grew up thinking, if this man dies today, I won't have access to his bank account. And I don't know how I will bury him. I don't know how I will deal with everything after, with eating, with paying the bills, with taking care of my mom, because my mom is the type of person that she didn't know how to manage how to withdraw money at the bank. This is my mom. So I grew up with this fear. So when I left the house, I was like, what did I do? If something happens to them, how am I going to, what's gonna be? And I was like so overwhelmed and everything. But I decided to not go back to their place. Although my mom, she regretted what she did to me and she apologized. But I said, no, I will not. Now I will go ahead. Then I figured out one woman that could rent a place, not a place, but a bedroom in my city. And then I stayed in this bedroom for 2 months until I could finish the school year and finally come here, you know? But my mom, I was so traumatized that every time that someone would ring the bell at this place, I would think it was my mom searching for me, you know.
Is that what you were hoping, or you were hoping she does not find you, and you were worried that she would find you?
I was worried that she would find me, actually, because I didn't want anyone to know where I was living. But then I told my father because I trusted him more. And of course, he ended up telling her, you know. And when I left Brazil, only my father came to say goodbye. My mom, no. She refused to say goodbye. And my father also, because he has always been so attached to money, so he didn't give me one real. Real is our currency. 1 real to help me from my city to the airport in São Paulo. Nothing. I came here to Slovenia with my own small amount of money from the work I had and with the help of my husband.
You you were how old when you left your home, you said, and you went over to your friend's house, and then how
28.
you were 28? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so when you were at your friend's house, I'm trying to figure out what is the connection between Brazil and Slovenia. So how did you come on Slovenia? How did you find it? And was your
Mhm.
husband from there, or
That's
how? What's the connection?
the other crazy story of my life. So I was at university and I had a friend. Her name is Camila. You will understand why I will talk about her because she's also living here actually. And Camila, she was learning Portuguese and Spanish while I was learning Portuguese and all the literatures and all of that and English. And Camila got a scholarship to study in Belgium. But Camila didn't know. She hated English. She hated, you know? And I was the whole process of visa, everything that she had to do in Brazil to come to Belgium, I helped her because I already knew English at that time and we were very close, so I helped her with everything. And when Camila got to Belgium, she fell in love with a Slovene guy from the dorm. Fell in love with this guy. And this guy had a group of friends that just left Slovenia to go to Belgium, visit his friend that was also at this university in Ghent. Then Camila just looked at one of her boyfriend's friends and she said, this guy is for Paula, out of the blue. But and then she kept calling me because she wanted to show him to me. But I was in Brazil living hell with my mom, with all
You had
this.
other problems. Yeah,
Yeah,
you had other problems, other issues you have to solve.
yeah. And at that point of my life, I was like, oh my God, I just want to graduate and see if I can get a job and I don't know, have a better life because I was going through hell. I couldn't think about anything else but my mom, my father, my internship that I had, and graduating. I was at the last year of college. And I remember that I didn't care at all what Camila said. Ah, this guy, blah, blah. I said, I don't care. But I know that they shared my phone number with this guy. And then one day, a foreign number just texted me. And I remember that I answered with a voice message, because in Brazil it's quite common to use WhatsApp and send voice messages. And he was like, first, because here it's not that common to use WhatsApp. And receive a voice message like first time that you talk to this person. And then we started talking every day. But there was a moment that I started just answering this guy with one word per message, because I had so many problems. And I was living such a difficult life. It was already hard. I already grew up in so much difficulty. And then one day he just turned and said, if you don't want to talk to me, just tell me. I said, it's not that I don't want to talk to you. I do, but I have so many problems. And I don't see the point of talking to a foreigner. It's not that like my life will get better or we're gonna get married and such. But yeah, we continued and we talked online every day during 2 years of my life. And of course, I fell in love. Ah, yeah, but you fell in love with a guy online. This guy was there for me every day. And he was dealing with all my issues because I was a very unbearable person, I could say. And every time that I was having hard times, treating him badly or anything, he would still talk to me every day. Then we started like, okay, we could meet and such, but for me this was like, how can I even think about meeting this person? Like going abroad for us Brazilians when we are poor, something that you cannot even imagine. I had gone abroad already when I was 17, but just because I got a scholarship, and I went to the United States, but it was like just for a month, and nothing. I was already 20, 25, 26 when we started talking. And then one day I said, that's it. If you want to have anything with me, then you have to go to Brazil. And then the pandemics came. It was very complicated. But when things were a little bit better, he decided to go.
He came to you and then the pandemic, or just before?
The pandemics came. And then when it was a little bit better in 2021, like we were wearing masks and such. And then he decided to go to Brazil. And I was like, okay. And I remember that I went to the airport with a friend of mine that he's huge. He has a lot of muscles, he owns a gym, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the airport to get this guy that I never saw in my life. Never know what he can do to me. At least William, my friend, is with me, and no one can beat William because he's really huge, And then we stayed together in Brazil for 15 days, and I really saw that we clicked. We clicked. I really, really fell in love with him. But I wasn't expecting to just at the same year to come here and then the following year get married,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He became your during your hard time. He became your soft spot, your escape. So you had a tough time. You had someone to turn to. Normally, it is your parents, your mom, your dad, your siblings, but you didn't have that. So it's like the higher powers, someone sent you someone to support you emotionally and to help
Yeah.
you. So I think you deserve that. You deserve to be happy, and you deserve to have that support. I guess one important question that I wanted to ask you earlier is, how did you find the strength to go on? Because you mentioned your brother becoming homeless, you cannot recognize him, and then your parents, and you had some depression, you went to the clinic, and um, you know, now you seem absolutely fine, and it turned out to be good. Um, you turned out to be good, but I guess what kept you going before you met even your boyfriend, your husband now? What gave you the strength to go through?
I don't know. That's a very, very complex question
Mm.
that even I am starting to I'm starting to find out, I think, now what is happening and what happens to me. And as I told you, I found out with my therapist that I am moved by challenges and I am moved by rage. I have always been a person since I was a child. There's a friend of mine that she says, "But you as a child, you were thinking about that." I was like, "Yes, I was." I know that it's weird, but I hate inequality. I hate injustice, and I have always had this feeling inside of me. Although I was a child, I could feel it. And this keeps me going. Every time that I see injustice, I become angry and then I move. I suffered a lot of injustice also with my master's degree because I started my master's degree 2020 or 2021. I don't remember exactly right now, but it was when the pandemics came, and then I had all my subjects online. So when I came here, I didn't have any subjects anymore because I had finished all of them online. I just had my master's thesis to write. And my professor, we had a meeting. I explained everything to her. And she didn't want, but she allowed me to finish here because I had just the thesis to write. She left me. She didn't tell me how this thesis was supposed to be structured. I had to find out. She didn't answer my questions. I wrote a master's thesis of 123 pages by myself while I was adapting in another country and hating, because I spent a lot of time hating this country. Now, no, but I spent a lot of time hating. Unemployed, with all those traumas, like waking up in the middle of the night. If my husband moved a little bit in the bed, I would wake up like, she's here, my mom. And I had to write everything by myself. And a friend of mine helped me review everything because she also had studied with me. And my professor, she postponed we have an exam before the official one, and she postponed my exam so many times for stupid reasons. And then she postponed my official presentation so many times, and everything was ready. Everything was written. She didn't read anything. And she knew that I needed that diploma at least to have more things here that could help me find a job. I was very, very vulnerable. I needed that diploma so damn much, and it was a diploma that, I never thought that I would be able to do a master's degree. I really, in Brazil, it's not like we have here in Slovenia that you just, I don't know, pay or to get. No, we have in Brazil at public universities, the best universities are public ones, kept by the government. In Brazil, if you want to do a master's degree from one of these universities, you have to write a 15-page project and get at least 7 out of 10 on this project. Then you have to go through an exam about the theory that I did it online orally because of the pandemics. And I remember that I did this one without sleeping for 2 days because it was the first time that my mom tried to attack my father. And I was so afraid. I had to go to a friend's house to do this because I was afraid that she would attack my father again, and then I would have to stop the exam and call the police and all of that, and then I would lose my chance. And then the third phase, you have to present your project and give good arguments. So I passed this whole process, and I just wanted so much to have this degree that you have no idea. I would spend my days researching and writing, nonstop, without any support. And then when I finally presented everything, I saw that there was a problem with that section, that program, the literature program at the university, that they were not issuing the diplomas. And then later I found out that they were not issuing the diplomas because the secretary of this program quit because of my professor that was also the coordinator of the program. He couldn't handle anymore her, and he quit. And he quit a public position. Then finally I sent all the documents again because I sent once and they simply didn't see my email. I sent again. It took almost more than it was almost a year to get my documents recognized, and then they would issue my diploma. I went to Brazil, I think it was last year in July. And another professor that was had also been my professor during college years, she said she was preventing you from getting your diploma. She was ignoring your emails. And when I got that diploma in my hands, because it wasn't just it's not just a paper for me. It's a huge battle that I won.
Might be a stupid question, but why was it so important to you?
Because I have always wanted to be independent. And I always wanted to be different from everything I knew. Because my whole family, the women of my family, they were doing what? They were depending on their husbands. They were having lots of children. They were nothing else.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
So it wasn't more like the diploma was not like an excuse or to focus on a goal and to escape from all the trouble, the issues you had. But at the same time, it was something that you always wanted because you wanted to break through of that cycle.
Yeah.
That you don't want to be someone just sitting at home, depending on a husband, not doing anything. You wanted to become more than that. So,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, and then when I came here, that the other Brazilians said you will never work in your field. I decided, with therapy, I realized that there's a pattern in my life. People, many people, they see me as maybe a problem in their way. I don't know why.
I was going to ask you why.
I think it's because although I learned how to be quiet here, my face doesn't, my expression doesn't. And I think that a person like me can be a threat to those that want to do things in a very easy way or corrupt way, you know. Honestly, I think it's because of that, you know.
Are these the people you call friends, or who are they? Who are these people that didn't want you to become successful?
There's a pattern. Always people that they have achieved higher positions. My professor, why my professor would care about me, a poor student from nowhere, while she was making more than 20,000 reais per month with a public position that she will never be fired. Why? I had also a boss in Brazil, but this one I kind of learned how to deal with. That she also caused me a lot of trouble. Like, I will put her in her place. I was the one doing everything around, including writing emails because she didn't know how to write proper emails. I was doing graphs for the place, for the cultural center, everything. I was running the projects and I was just an intern, okay? But she deep down wanted to just put me in my place. And I had also something similar at the previous school with the school principal. The school principal started interviewing people in front of me for my position. And then nowadays I laugh about it because it's better. And then she came and said, "Do you still want to stay? Because I couldn't find anyone better than you." But yeah, you know. So
What did you say?
I stayed because I wanted to, I wanted to work, you know. I stayed. But then 2 months later came sick. I came down sick again with depression because it was such a mess. It was such a mess. The students, they didn't. I something interesting that I found out here, because in Brazil I had the illusion that money would help the lack of infrastructure that schools had. So I was like, oh, maybe with more infrastructure and more money and such, well, I'm gonna have great students. But I was teaching one of the richest students, and then I found out for the first time of my life the other side of poverty. It's when you have all the money, but you have nothing. These students, they had so many issues. So many issues with drugs, with their parents, with everything. And I couldn't just ignore that. So I really believe that this affection was out of system that the Slovenians wanted. And something that is different borders. Something that is out of the pattern borders.
How did you find the courage to just drop then everything and just move then? Like you had you were teaching in Brazil, did I understood you correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. So for how long were you teaching in that school?
2 years in that school in Brazil.
It was I consider this was your dream job because you studied really hard and
Yeah.
You finished, and now you've fought very hard to get that role, and you got that job, and it was not easy. All odds were against you, and to then find the courage to leave everything again and to move, I guess, because you met your husband and you wanted to be together. But take me back to that moment. Did you have the conversation for him to come to Brazil, or was it from the beginning you decided you will move? How did you tell your family? Did you tell any? Because you said you told your dad where you were living, and then he told your mom. Did you trust him again? So tell me, how did you tell your family, or did you tell anyone, and how did that conversation go?
I never had the dream of getting married. Never. I never had the dream of having children. I don't have, but I'm married. And we never had the conversation of him living in Brazil because, yeah, everyone has this idea that I come from a third world country. And I kind of had that illusion also. I love my country. I study, since I was a teenager, I study even the history of my country, because I love it. But I still had also that illusion that my country was a third world one, and then that here I would have more chances of succeeding. The doors will be open for you and all of that. And then I told my father, and my father broke my heart that day. Because as I told you, my father has always been so attached to money, and to a certain point of our lives, he didn't allow us to have access to his bank account. But then there was one day I told him, you need to give us access, because if something happens to you today, I don't have money not even to buy your coffin. So he gave us access. So I had with me a bank card that was, the same account, was his account, but I also had access. And then I told him, Dad, I'm gonna try to live abroad with Mario, which is my husband's name. He said, okay, no problems. Know that the doors are always open for you to come back if you need. But please give my card back, because you are going away with a foreigner. I don't want anyone to have access to my things, to my money. A hole opened before me that day, and I was like, here's your card. Here's your card. Thank you. That was it. You know.
It's like he you got closer and trusted each other a little bit more. He gave you access and then dropped everything again. There we
The thing,
go. We start from the beginning.
yeah. The thing is, money has always been more important.
Mm. I do know people that struggle financially, but they are not after money. Money is not their god. They don't have money, and they're still, when they go out to restaurants, they try to pay for their friends. They try to support other people, and I know even friends that don't do that. They are married, and their wife having an argument because they help other people, but they are not having enough money.
Yeah.
So you just said you do that. You're without having much, you still support your friends.
Nowadays, I like to have access to things that I couldn't,
Yeah.
material things and all of that. I like to going out to restaurants. Nowadays, I try to once a year to go back to Brazil and go to a different region, because Brazil is huge. And
Yeah.
when you grow up being poor in Brazil, you don't know other states. You don't know other places. Just the rich people have access. Nowadays, it has been changing. The middle class has more and more access, but I couldn't have. So nowadays, I do this. Get my here the bonus. We get a bonus for our vacation, which is called the regress. I get my regress in Brazil, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like
Okay.
that. I like to have access to things because I think like why I cannot have, why I grew up not having access to anything, you know. And this is also connected to my education background because I studied at a very nice university, public one, but the one of the best in Brazil. Got a master's degree from that. And at that point, I was studying English. Only 2% of Brazil's population speak English. And I remember when I finished studying English, I just told the mom of a friend, one of my dreams in my life would be a polyglot. And then she asked, which language would you like to study next? Then I said French. And she said, for you to have everything that this friend has access, you have to fight 3 times more. That's what she answered. And I kept this with me. And I remember when I finished college, it was also the last year of my internship. I saw some sales for a French course. And I was like, but I will not have a job next year. I don't know how it's going to be. Whatever, I'm gonna enroll anyway, and then I will think about it. I enrolled, the pandemics came, this course became an online course. And since 2020, I have French lessons with the same teacher that has left the school that I started already. I speak French fluently, and last year I got also a diploma.
Oh, wow. That's,
Yeah.
look, I think those past experiences you went through either make you or break you. I think for you, you learn to fight through, it gets hard. You take the challenge and you
Yeah.
do it. You have to work 3 times harder than other people. You still get it. You still do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays I learn to tell myself it's hard. Okay. I like it.
It's really inspiring because if I've got someone now watching this episode and someone going through really tough time, I know you're kind of still in the middle of it, but I feel like you're on coming out at the end of the tunnel. What advice do you have for someone going through a really tough time?
It will pass. It can take you years, but it will pass. And I don't like much to talk about it because I know that many people may interpret it in different ways, maybe negative ways. But in Brazil, we don't have a specific religion. We are free to worship whatever. We have a lot of beliefs in spiritism and a lot of faith. And nowadays, I worship that and I believe that God exists. Because if it brought me here with everything I have seen in my life, it can change anyone's. I'm not saying that you have to go to church. I'm not saying that you have to worship and pray every day. I'm saying that you have to believe that you have a life and life is a gift. And it will pass. You can go through the worst time. You will go through that, it will pass, and you will learn with all of that. And that's it. Try to learn something. I know it seems, bullshit, but do not lose hope because life is a gift. Life is a gift. and we learn with our hard times. You know, we learn.
And when you have kids, you're going to make sure they're not going to go through that. You're gonna give them a better life, and you're going to do everything right that your parents did wrong. You're going to give them the attention. You're going to give them the support, and I think you're going to be not version 2.0 from your parents. You're going to be version 2000.0. And when you become a parent or mother or whoever is going to go through that, you make sure your kids don't go through that.
Actually, I was discussing this week, and I really don't know if I want to have children because I already have my students.
Yeah.
And I try to really do my best for them because at the end of the day they are just children. They are not responsible for what their parents do. And you know, it's so funny because the previous school where I worked at, I was teaching high school. And they come after I left, they came after me through Instagram, you know, and they come like, you were the best teacher we had. You listened to us and all of that. And there were times that I went to the mall with the students, something that is not possible here, you know, like the teacher is with the students at the mall. What are they doing? And the next week on Thursday, I was invited to go to their prom. They were like, please come, you know, please come. And I told my husband, this is priceless. This is priceless. This makes everything that I went through to be worth it.
They can tell. They can tell if you are true, if you are sincere, if you actually care. You know, they can tell. Students are young, yes, but they are not stupid. They can tell if someone is honest and a good person and sincere. And I'm not surprised that they wanted you to be there. So, and I understand when you say you're not sure you want kids because you got your students, and that's absolutely fine. And you are still not treating them as your parents did treat. Do you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
going through, you're giving them the best side of yourself.
Yes.
So in a way, it's also how you would treat maybe your children,
Yeah.
how you treat them. So it's going in the good direction. And I think something really good came out of your whole situation. And I think you shouldn't forget that. You got the recognition from your students, and just keep going. There will be bad days again. There will be good days. Life is up and down. But I think you just get stronger, and challenge accepted, on to the next one.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So in terms of the life in Brazil, you said there's some things there were very important. You give an example. Public schools are very good in Brazil, but a lot of inequality. Obviously, I've never been to Brazil, but when the World Cup was in Brazil, there was like a lot of uh, conversation about the contrast, the poorer people, and then you build a multi-million stadium in the middle of the city, and then you can see the contrast. This is someone from being outside, and this is how I can follow what you are saying. You have that in other countries as well. Like my background, I'm from Egypt, and there's a lot of inequality as well. So I know in some countries it's more than others. So also understand your will to want to fight. You hate inequality because you have seen it, you have experienced it. But for someone that wants to maybe move to Brazil, can you give like maybe an expat? You know, obviously someone that is moving, I don't know, from Slovenia or from the US to Brazil. What is like a daily routine? How is life? How's the healthcare? How is the quality of life there when you have a good job? Can you give some more insights on that?
For sure, as I tell everyone, and I think it was 3 weeks ago, a Slovene that has been to Brazil, he agreed with me, and I was like so happy. Brazil is not a third world country. It just has a lot of inequality, but if you have a good job and lots of money, you're going to paradise. Because first of all, we don't have these severe winters. Brazil is most of the time sunny. The beaches of Brazil, like in Rio de Janeiro, that is paradise. Brazilians, even though they do not speak, most of them, they do not speak English, they will welcome you. They will help you. You know, the food is amazing. We have so much seasoning with everything. Our fruit in general is so fresh. You know, and you have everything like in big cities like São Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. You have access to everything. So many restaurants that you have the chairs all around and tables, and you can just get a drink and talk for hours. Not just a drink, because here in Slovenia is so funny. You have a lot of bars, they serve only drinks. No, there's not the possibility of going to a bar in Brazil and not having delicious finger food. You know? So you're gonna drink beer and you're gonna have, you know, so many options of food. And Brazilians will really help you and be friends with you. And that's it. I know many foreigners that they went to Brazil and they are still there because they don't want to leave the country. They don't want to leave the country, you know?
You had me already at food.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a foodie, so you already sold me.
Yeah, the steaks. We have delicious steaks. The prices, if you are a foreigner and you make in euros, for example, it's not gonna be a lot, you know?
If I want to move or I get a recruiter reaching out, a job in Brazil, for example, what's a good salary you would say I'm going to have a good life in Brazil?
For a foreigner, I would say in a big city like São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, I would say at least 10,000 reais. At least. You know, because as I said, Brazil is amazing, but you need to have money to have access to this, unfortunately.
Mhm.
About health, we have a public health system, which is called SUS. We are so proud of SUS. So proud. Because it really works. Of course, there are areas, poor areas or regions like in northeast or north of Brazil that it lacks medicine, infrastructure, doctors, and all of that. But it is in our constitution. We have the right, we have the access to public health. It's not like in the United States that this is not guaranteed in their constitution, you know? And my father, he has going through this treatment for 20 years of his life, and he goes to dialysis at a clinic that it looks really nice, you know, and it's all kept by the government of Brazil, you know. So, and also imagine that you are a foreigner and all of a sudden, I don't know, you injure yourself in Brazil. No problems. Someone will call the ambulance. The ambulance will take you to the nearest hospital and you're gonna get a doctor. And after that, it's okay. You have nothing to pay.
Yeah.
You know, saving lives comes first.
How's like the waiting lists like for treatments? Is it easy to make appointments? Because in some countries, I speak to other guests on different countries. It takes to get through to a doctor. It takes minimum 2 weeks to get an appointment. And I've speaking to some people, they call an ambulance. Sometimes it comes after 2 hours. So some countries have a very bad reputation. I don't want to name and shame them now. But how
Mhm.
is Brazil in comparison to that? You said they take care of you, but let's say I moved there, I have a good job, I'm insured, I have the healthcare. And now I break my arm, someone calls the ambulance. Do you feel like someone will come straight away, they pick you up, you get treated very well? Or is there any, delays, or how would you say?
It may happen that you're gonna have delays, but it's not over 2 hours.
Mhm.
I remember that I called the ambulance to my mom several times because she fainted and such. And it took like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But it also depends because I was living in a small city. And if you live in Sao Paulo, of course, you're going to have more problems because Sao Paulo is huge.
Mhm.
You know, you have, if I'm not mistaken, 2 million people just in Sao Paulo. Then because of the traffic, because of the distance and all of that, or more accidents happening, you may have a delay. But I'm sure that's not going to be of 2 hours, at least in the state of Sao Paulo. Of course, in other states or regions, as I said, Northeast and North, they suffer a lot more with inequality and with the lack of good infrastructure because unfortunately there's still we are trying to fight back. I'm sure that we have been trying to fight back, mainly this president that we have now again, you know but there's a lot of prejudice against people from Northeast, mainly, and North. So the state of Sao Paulo ends up getting more money and attention and all of that. I know that the president is trying to fight it because Northeast is not Northeast Brazil is not what people from Sao Paulo say, that they are dumb, that they are lazy. No, not at all. They are fighters also. Fighters, people that survive with the minimum. So it also depends on where you live. But if you have money, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you go. You're gonna have the best service ever. You know,
Yeah.
in Brazil.
Okay. And
Mhm.
you said 10,000 a month? That's
Yes,
how much is that
minimum.
in euro?
In euro 10,000, it would be 1,700 euros.
Okay. So
Yeah.
1,700 per month. You live a good life as a single person or family or
I think that honestly, if you're not like a spendthrift like I am nowadays, even with a family, like one child, it would be okay. You know.
okay. Okay. And I know it depends where you're going to live, but maybe just outside the city. What's a rent in an apartment? How much would
Mhm.
that cost? How much is the insurance roughly? Just to break it down, how much could be at the end left over?
So, for example, in Brazil, in the city where I was born, because nowadays, you remember that I told you that my father has always been very stingy and all of that. So it ended up that my father saved some money for his entire life, and he had to buy another house in order to escape from my mom. And then he ended up registering this house under my name. So this is my house. I have a house there. And my friend, when I go there and we discuss about prices, my friends say that a rent of a house like I have in Brazil, which is a big one, huge, really, because here in Europe we see a lot of apartments. I don't know where you live. In Switzerland, you said, right?
Yeah.
Switzerland, I don't know how it is, but here in Ljubljana, in Slovenia, you have such small apartments for ridiculous prices, So a house like mine in Brazil, it would be 170 euros rent,
Wow.
yeah, which would be 1,000 reais. If I want to be, I don't know. Let's see. If I want to charge more, it would be like 259 euros, to live in the city. And it's a small city, yes, but there's one difference of a small city in Brazil and a small city here in Slovenia. You cannot
Yeah.
find all the restaurants open. Delivery. Oh my God, we have so much delivery services in Brazil, you know, and we order food from restaurants from WhatsApp. You
Oh,
just
really?
you just like, "Oh, I want to eat Japanese. I'm gonna text the restaurant. They are going to send the menu. Many times they even have the menu online. You just click and you send them, and then they deliver.
I love that. You know what's so annoying, man? Like some restaurants, you have to download an app, you have to register, you have to do. Just give me the WhatsApp, send me the menu, problem solved.
And we also have something that Trump hates because he keeps saying about it. We have one bank transfer, that is called Pix. And it's like this. I just open my bank here, get a sequence of numbers that can be my personal ID or even my email. And then I can send whatever money, for this person to pay. And that's it. I didn't use my card, nothing. And at the beaches in Brazil, there are people selling a lot of things, like corn with butter, a caipirinha, which is an alcoholic drink that we have. And then the guy will just show you his key of Pix, many times with a QR code. You just put the QR code and you pay, you know,
Yeah.
and that's it. And if I'm not mistaken, Pix was created in Brazil. And Trump keeps saying that this is totally unfair to the credit cards companies in the United States. And then our president, Lula, he says, not my problem. Not my problem.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, because I know in China a lot. I have a friend, he went to Shanghai and they use Alipay. Also, they don't use the credit cards, they use Alipay. So I think it's a similar platform where you can just make payments and just connects to your bank account, but the transactions coming out from that. What is it called? I'm actually interested. Pix?
Pix. Pix.
Yeah.
Pix. Brazil. And
Pix.
we only do Pix, Pix,
Oh.
Pix all the time.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
does it have any fees? So,
No, it doesn't have
um,
fees. That's why Trump hates
okay,
so much.
okay. Man, those banks, the Visa, Mastercard, they make a lot of money. So I
Yeah.
know it's fine. Give, give some other people a chance as well.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, And
yeah.
I think it's good because, as I told you, we have lots of people selling all kinds of things on the streets of Brazil. Here in Slovenia, for example, if you want to open a business, oh my God, you cannot. It's gonna be lots of problems until you do it. But in Brazil, you have lots of people with small business, and Pix helps a lot. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you're breaking down the cost of living in Brazil. You said the quality of life is good. If you have a good salary, healthcare is good. So that's all clear. And again, you had me at food because I'm a big foodie. So I'll definitely come and visit. What would you say would be the main difference between Slovenia and Brazil? How different of the life, if you can summarize that for someone that has absolutely no idea about both countries, how different are they?
We are totally open. We don't. If we still have prejudice in Brazil, we are fighting against. We are fighting against prejudice against Black people, homosexuals, against the right of women to be more independent. And we are all the time discussing things. We have a very strong critical thinking for a country that has so much poverty. And here, people have everything, but they do not stop to reflect about anything. And many times, I will never forget this because I always pay attention to these things. I am Nowadays, I am a social sciences teacher also at the school, besides teaching English and French. So I remember when I was living in another city here in Slovenia, quite small, the mentality was quite closed. And they have a lot of prejudice against people that take medicine like antidepressants, that go to see a therapist, a psychiatrist. But you know those trash containers, huge containers. I opened it one of those of glasses, and there were so many wine bottles that even if the whole city was drinking, they wouldn't have in one container of one building so many wine bottles. From that moment on, I saw that they have money, but they don't have the freedom of thinking. They don't reflect about themselves, and they are repressed. And we are open. We talk about everything. We are happy with nothing. And this makes all the difference. All the difference. You know, people. That's why I think that that's why people don't want to leave Brazil. Like, I met a foreigner in Rio de Janeiro last year, and she said, I have gone to many countries, but when I came here, I decided to stay. Now I'm living here. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Sometimes it's the vibe and the people and the culture, and that's all
Yes.
you need, you know? And yeah, it's also quite different, I think, from what I heard to most other countries. It's a quite unique place.
Yes.
It's a combination of everything. I think, as I said, that was definitely somewhere I would love to go.
You should. You
But
should.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know. No. No. Yeah.
Paula, I have prepared a rapid fire, 5 questions,
Okay.
and you can only answer them in one sentence, and you can take as much time as you need to answer them. So, are you ready?
Yes. Let's go.
Cool. The first one would be, what's the biggest culture shock you had in Slovenia?
The language. The language, definitely. Yeah.
Difficult language to learn, right?
Yeah. Very
Is it
different.
is it true that not many speak English there?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in smaller villages, forget it. Yeah.
Okay. Um, if you could introduce one Slovenian value back home in Brazil, what would it be, and what could you introduce to Slovenia, one Brazilian value to Slovenia?
It's so interesting because the mothers, they do not care if their baby will be a girl or boy. And many times they don't want to know the gender. And I think
Okay.
that this is, Brazil should learn that, not with gender review, baby showers. I think that it's a kid, it's your kid. Doesn't matter if it's a girl or a boy, you should not mark your kid like that since the beginning, defining what this kid is. And a Brazilian value that I would teach is empathy. Empathy, yeah, for sure.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. What's the most rewarding thing about teaching in a new country, and what did you find the toughest?
The most rewarding thing was learning that money is not everything, and that I still have a very beautiful role to play here. Because I thought that I wouldn't have, that they wouldn't need me anymore, but they do need. I'm needed. And the toughest thing is that many times the students are empty inside. They have money, but they lost their values. They don't know what empathy is. They don't have critical thinking because money When you have everything, money usually takes these things away from you. That's hard to break that.
It's a English school, right?
An international school, yeah, the standard language there is English for everyone,
Yeah.
but we have like lots of nationalities.
Okay. Okay. And what year are you teaching currently?
I teach from primary to high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you mentioned earlier, but that right now you don't have one class that you teach.
I have several. Yeah, several. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a private international school, and
Yeah.
that's what you mean. Okay, right.
Yeah.
How big is the class? Is it quite small because it's a private
Yeah, well,
class?
it depends on the classes. But for me, it's small anyway, because in Brazil, it was the last school it was normal to have 33 per class. There are some public schools in Brazil that they have 40. Now
Mm,
I have
yeah,
maximum of 8.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah, because we when we moved to Switzerland, we moved from UK, and UK it was a public school. My wife is a teacher as well, and she was teaching 32 in the public school, 32 in the class. And when we moved to Switzerland, she her first year she had 6 or 7, and now she has 12, which is still
Mhm.
really small.
Actually, I prefer.
And
Yeah, if I have like when I'm teaching social sciences, I prefer they split. There's one of my social sciences classes, and I said like you shouldn't have done that, because for social sciences it's good to have like 20.
yeah, yeah. And you might give me a political correct answer here, but do you prefer teaching children or adult, like older?
I prefer teaching teenagers and adults. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
why?
um because children, they have this imagination, creativity and playing side that I don't do well, because I had to
Right.
grow quite early and I
Okay.
like deep discussions, Nowadays I'm a polyglot, a linguist, but I love social sciences and I love discussing. I love provoking my students and teenagers. I think that they are more open to that. Yeah, that's why.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And if you could take your students on a field trip anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
To the slums in Brazil, so they could see the reality, because they live in a bubble. They are quite privileged. Uh, Speaking about money, and many
Yeah.
times I see that they get so alienated in their bubbles that I would take them to the slums of Rio de Janeiro, Rocinha, for example, to see how the world is, because they travel all around Dubai and this and that, but they don't see the world as it is, because they are quite protected, financially saying, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess yeah, it's a tough one when families have a lot of wealth created, and there's a lot of debates. How should you have those conversations with your kids? Should you teach them very young to deal with money? Should you just give them the money to? And then there's a lot of famous people that don't want to pass over the money that they made from all the movies and all the songs that they made, the millions. They don't pass them to the kids because they don't want their kids to lose everything. So it's a big debate actually.
Yeah.
But definitely once a year to go to the slums or to do service somewhere to see how life is really, and not everyone has those things.
Yes.
It helps me and my children. For example, we go once a year. We go to Egypt. We see a family, a mother with 2 kids, 1 year old, 6 months old, sleeping in the streets. And the first time the kids saw that, they were shocked. They're like, why are they sleeping here? They don't have a home. They don't have the money to live in a house. And so they don't take things for granted. This is really important.
Yes. And I want my students mainly of course, I do that also when I'm teaching English or I'm teaching French. But when I'm teaching social sciences, I want my students to learn how to ask why and not accept things like, because it is like that. No, it's not like that. Sometimes they give me some answers that they are, I would not say that they are shallow, but they are already as if someone put in their heads,
Yeah.
that. And I want them to think it deeper, see it deeper. And
Yeah.
many times when you are full of everything, you don't
Yeah.
look, you know.
Yeah. I like the fact that you're trying to open their eyes, definitely. But I can also see it challenging because you're not raising them. You're only a few hours a day with
Yeah.
them, not the whole day. And if one side, maybe at home, is different, they feed them with other stuff, but you come to school and you feed them with different things.
Yeah.
It might be a bit, you do your best, but you can't guarantee everyone will get it or not get it.
Yeah.
So
But I learned something in my life. If I touch one a little bit, it's already enough, you know.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. One final question for
Yeah.
you. What was the biggest or the hardest conversation you had before you moved out of Brazil with, it could be anyone, it could be with a family member, it could be with your closest friend. And what did you discuss?
It was with the school principal of the school where I was working at. This school principal, she was leading the school for 35, 40 years, I guess. And she has always been a very strong woman. Everyone was afraid of her. Everyone, you know. And then when I came to her to tell that I was going to move and why, because I was going to get married, she looked to my eyes and she said, I admire you because I went through a lot of things in my life, but I didn't come from nothing like you. I went to a good university. I have always had a comfortable financial situation, but you came from nothing. She said like this because she has always been harsh with her words. You could be a drug addict like your brother. You could be a prostitute, but look at you. But then she looked at me, and I'll never forget that. I told her this last year because I visited the school and I visited her. And she said, money, no, love is not everything. She wanted to tell me that I needed to work and be independent. That okay, I would come here, I would get married, but love is not
But love
everything.
is not everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
How
said that.
long you married now?
4 years.
Okay.
She said that and I told her last year, I'll never forget. Thank you for that. It was very hard because imagine the person says, like, everyone was afraid of her, and then she looks, I admire you, and love is not everything. Go and work, you know? And I'll never forget that. I told her, I'll never forget this. Never.
It's her way of showing she cares,
Yeah.
And yeah. And it's true. I mean, that's why I asked. You married 4 years. So, yeah, usually it's the first year or so, the honeymoon period.
Yeah. Yeah.
But absolutely, there's so much more to it. I've been married since 2018. And yeah, no, like it's definitely someone also mentioned to me, love is not everything. He married before me, but it's usually actually the people that go through ups and downs a lot that have this experience and they say love is not everything.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I don't know about you, but I've seen some people, some couples, they just have it easy all the time. I don't know how they do it, but I think I would get bored. I like the ups and downs, and you learn from the challenge last time. And
And she
Yeah.
she also wanted to tell me because yeah, she was born in a very comfortable situation, but for example, she lost her husband because he killed himself. He was a drug addict, rich but a drug
Mm,
addict. Then she lost a kid to cancer, and she never married again. And she became like she was really respected. You know, this school where I was working at, we have several units all around Brazil, and this school is very well known and respected. And for a person to be a school principal for 35, 40 years, you know, ahead of the school, this person was, she must be very strong and very independent and all of that. And that's what she wanted to tell me. She wanted to tell me, like, get married, but do not forget yourself, be independent, because you never know what will happen. You never know.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because she also had this experience with her husband. Like, he was a drug addict. He ran away, I don't know where, and then he killed his, a mess. You know. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think especially when you go through this stuff, it changes you. And the fact that she gave you the advice, she took the time to talk to you, you built through your both going through some tough times, I think that
Yeah.
also helped, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, let's talk about something positive. Tell me about some good things you experienced in Slovenia. Take me back in your, how long are you now in Slovenia?
4 years. 4 years.
Since you got married, since you married.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Take me so through your first week or two. Apart from the language, obviously you had probably some other culture shocks and changes, and shops all closed. You can't just go on WhatsApp and order food like in Brazil. There's like different culture things. Tell me some positive things about Slovenia that you really enjoyed or enjoy currently.
Well, I have access to many things that I couldn't here. Though working hours are awesome because I work from 8 to 3. And in Brazil, this is not possible. Like, everyone works from 8 to, you know, and when you're a teacher, you teach mornings, afternoons, and nights because we have night shifts also for
Oh wow!
students.
In public, in normal public school, you have that.
Yes, you have, because there are
Okay.
many students that they work during the day, so they can go to school in the evening. And there in Brazil, if you want to make a okay salary as a teacher, you have to work at more than one school.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have friends that they are working like non-stop, non-stop. They don't even talk to me because they are, oh no, Paula, I was working so much that I forgot to reply or something. So the working hours are quite good here. I cannot complain about that. When spring comes, this country is so beautiful. I love flowers, I love plants. And then you can see flowers everywhere. You see bees everywhere because, you know, they respect so much bees and they protect them, because without bees we have nothing. You know, they really have even researchers taking care of bees and all of that. The summers here are also very beautiful. You know, it's such a beautiful country, and the nature here, you know, it's very much safe. There's not even one small piece of paper on the streets also. It's so clean, you know, so clean. For example, I have always wanted to go to France because I was, you know, learning French and all of that. And then the first time my husband went with me, I have gone there, I don't know how many times now, but the first time my husband went with me, and my husband, when we came back, he got sick. He felt so much pressure and he felt that he was so unsafe. Because here, you can walk whatever, you know. Of course, there are some circumstances that some people do weird things, like I have experienced, but in general, In the other city I was living, I would see people leaving their phones. No one would do anything, you know.
Yeah.
In Brazil, if you are with the phone here, 1 second later, what happened? Yeah, what happened? But here, no. The health system here, although it's a little bit weird, but it's also free and it's also good. For example, if you need to get sick leave in Brazil, it's very hard to get sick leave. But for me,
Really? Why?
because you really need to go to the doctor, and he really needs to sign sick leave for you. You know. Otherwise, but now here, for example, it was like this. I came down sick, but I don't have to go to the doctor physically in person. I can write an email to the nurse and say, I'm sick. Open in the system for me, the sick leave. You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's really easy. It's
Yeah.
because I grew up in Germany and in the UK and in Switzerland. If you are sick after 3 days, you have to go to the doctor. But if it's just one day, you just call them, say, sorry, I'm ill, I'm sick, I can't come. It's not a problem. So you're saying in Brazil, after one day, you already have to go to the doctor, or
It doesn't matter. If you, for example, imagine that you are at work, you feel sick, and
yeah,
then you tell your doctor, I'm sick. You tell your boss, I'm sick. Your boss says, go to the doctor because you're going to need the sick leave certificate. Otherwise,
right, right,
yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. But it's like this. It's not easy, no. You know?
yeah. I guess it's they have a working culture, like they work really hard. I guess.
Yeah. You know?
Like you're saying like people work longer hours and now with the sick leave, it's like sounds like it's a very hard working culture.
Yes, and this caused me a lot of trouble also because here people they are like this. I want to have time to do other things. I want to have time to cycle. I want to have time to go to the playground with my kids. I don't know. And in Brazil, no. We are, work is everything for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Work is everything.
it's interesting. Really interesting to compare both. And I heard in Slovenia, the nature is really this very you got a very beautiful nature, the mountains, the
Yeah.
waterfalls. So I understand when you say, oh, people want to do something else after work, go for a bicycle run, 5K, 10K, whatever. Um,
Or I find it so funny. They want to go to the forest and walk 10 kilometers in the forest. Uh, and we from Brazil, I think that we are very much capitalistic because we are like, oh no, after work, I want to go to a restaurant or to a bar with finger food, not to walk 10 kilometers in the forest to pick up mushrooms in the mushroom season. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I only recently found out, Paula, that Slovenia is very similar to Switzerland. And Switzerland's also mountains, waterfall. Kids go to school 4 or 5 years old. They walk themselves because it's safe.
You're also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like when I heard this stuff about Slovenia, I was surprised, and it's actually a hidden gem. I call it. It's like a
That's
secret
what they say.
destination.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they say. That is a hidden gem because Slovenia is not that popular, as a place to go and do tourism. But it's so safe. I have seen so many times kids like they are 5 years old going to school by themselves. I was like, where's the mom of this kid? Please get this kid out of here, because in Brazil, no way, you know,
Yeah.
no way. Not even in small cities. This would be considered a neglected kid for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes time adjusting because like even like you said, you can leave your phone on the table, or I sometimes leave the car unlocked. And at the beginning, you're like a little bit paranoid, and now I'm just used to it. And then when I come visit my parents, I'm in the UK right now, I leave the door open, or my wife has a go at me. Mario, remember? you're not in Switzerland. Remember, take your bag.
Yeah.
So sometimes you forget.
Yeah, yeah, but it's so weird because I grew up in Brazil, but my husband, but I think it's something related to family. My husband locks the door like twice, and me, if I walk the dog and I'm here like almost in front of the building, I leave the door open. And today I locked myself out of the building because I went outside and I forgot to take my key. And I told my husband, he said, I know why this happened because you didn't take your key and you didn't lock the door, you know? You didn't lock the
Yeah,
door. But yeah. And for me, it's okay. But for him, it's so safe, but he still locks everything. I find so funny.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
maybe instinct, but even then, I mean, it happened so many times. I leave the key outside in our apartment. I forget it. I go to sleep. Next morning, I'm looking for my keys. I open the door. It's outside. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that Austria, maybe Switzerland, and Germany. Germany was, I guess, because I work with a German teacher, and she said that Germany has changed a lot
yeah,
regarding safety and all of that. But I think that maybe Austria, Slovenia, Switzerland, they have a little bit similar, you know,
yeah.
regarding safety, all that.
Definitely, it's definitely parallels. And I grew up in Germany as well, so I can
Yeah.
say that it used to be safer. So now when I go back, it's not as safe as it used to be. Also, not as cheap as it used to be. Now it's even more expensive than UK, and
Yeah.
UK was much more expensive some years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because when you move to another country, you have less noise from outside, the friends, the family, all the
So
community. So you spend much more time with yourself. So what's the one thing you noticed about yourself you didn't know before?
that this is also related to the job culture, that I couldn't simply stop and do nothing. I couldn't stop.
You are running deep inside. You're like, I need to do something.
I need to do something. No, but I have nothing to do. I
Yeah,
I remember that I spent like more than a year without really sitting on my previous couch of the previous apartment. Really sitting and laying down. Because I was, no, you have to be productive. We have a lot of this in Brazil, productive all the time, all the time. You know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. You're running always, and then when you come again, Switzerland is like that. It's suddenly the time goes slower, much slower, and you don't know what to do with your life because it's
Yes.
like
Yes.
Sundays everything is closed. Saturday, like during the week, it's like shops close very early. Like, what's going on?
The
I
noise of
assume it's
my
similar.
head was totally different from,
Yeah,
oh my God. Yeah. That's this that I found out that I was like, that was like a, I don't know, a very, very loud party in my head all the time. And Slovenia was like, no sound, nothing. Just, yes.
where did you put that energy then? What did you do?
Wrote my master's dissertation,
Okay.
started working like crazy, started studying not only, continued with French, then started studying German. Then I started doing other courses all the time. I was studying all the time, studying like crazy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like some people get lazy, and other people get motivated. I started the podcast because I was like, hey, what do I do with my time? UK is also expensive, everyone is like running, working all the time. And so again, the first year doesn't count when you move. I think there's a lot of paperwork, bureaucracy, opening bank account, finding a doctor. There's a lot going on. And then the second year you notice, okay, what is going on? I'm done.
And now I have a question for you. Why did you decide to leave the UK or Germany, and why did you choose Switzerland?
Good question. So I grew up in Germany. I moved to Germany when I was 1. So my parents are from Egypt. I grew up there. With 18, I left. I went to the UK because I used to go to the UK a lot for holidays. I have family there. My auntie, my cousins are here. I loved it. I loved it. I loved the people, the vibe. It's like you go on, hey, what's going on? You okay? Then if you're upset or you need directions, someone just sees you are lost, they approach you like, I like this human touch. In Germany,
Mhm.
they're maybe a little bit known. They're quite direct and
Mhm.
they're nice, but in their way, they give you the space and they're just quite direct. And I like the UK side.
Mhm.
Um, so UK was really nice. Stayed there for 17 years in the UK. So which is weird. 17 years Germany, 17 years UK. I think something is with the 17. I don't know, but yeah, then the UK started for me, in my personal opinion, going a little bit downhill. The safety, the quality of life. It doesn't matter how much you earn. It doesn't matter. You still, if you have an accident, you wait in the hospital up to 4 hours, five
Mhm.
hours, so they see you. It's like the system is broken. The politics there, I didn't like. So I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I've got kids now. One is 3, one is 5. It's not very safe, and I want to go out. So my brother moved to Switzerland 5 years ago, and he was like saying, "Oh, come visit me, have a look." I saw it. It reminded me a little bit like Germany, but with the nature. The people are a little bit friendlier. A lot of people say Swiss people are a bit strict, but actually, if you live in the right areas, um,
Mhm.
like near a city, a big city, it's more multicultural. But when you live in a small village, I assume in Slovenia you said similar thing. Like when you live in a small village in Slovenia, nobody speaks English, and it's like difficult to integrate. But when you live in a bigger city, it helps. So this is what we did. So we went and had a look first. I liked it. We liked it. I let my wife decide. Hey, do you want to stay? You want to move? Because I speak the language, my wife doesn't.
Mhm.
So for me, it was easier to find a job. But she's also a teacher, as I mentioned, and she applied for an international school. She got a job, and yeah, it
Mhm.
just worked out. It was stressful to move with kids, and we've got a house. We had to rent it out and everything.
Yeah.
But the reason, like I said, there was more safety, quality of life, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, UK didn't have anything to offer anymore. Even it didn't matter if you earn 30,000, 50,000, 150,000 a year. It doesn't matter. You still have the similar, unless you have run your own company and you do very well, then you can go to your private hospitals, pay for everything yourself, you
Yeah.
know. But when you're employed, even 150,000, 200,000 a year sounds amazing. But actually, if you are sick and you call an ambulance, it can take 1 hour to come, you know. Uh, I had an accident. I was bleeding my head. I went to the hospital. I was every 10 minutes I had to wash my head because I was bleeding. I had to wait
Mhm.
4 hours until someone sees me. Like I don't want this for my kids. To answer your question, it
Yeah.
was more for my kids.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And your wife, she's British then.
she's funny because she's also she moved with 2 from Egypt to London. I moved with 1 to Germany. She moved with 2 to London, and then when I used to when I moved here, 16, I met her through friends. She knew some of my friends, and so
Nice. And that's good because some way somehow you will have the same culture, as a couple, because that's
yes.
tough also.
Yeah, it helps to have the same culture, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, we consider ourselves more English and German than Egyptian because we moved very young, but we still have family there. And when they come and visit, we go and visit. It's like helps to understand the culture. But when we go to Egypt, we still get ripped off as tourists. So I don't know if you have ever been, but they don't have the
No, but
best
I want it so
reputation.
much. Actually, this year I thought about going there, but yeah, I don't know yet how it's gonna be. But I thought about going there because for me it's like, come on, I never saw this.
Yeah.
I just saw the pyramids and all that in my history books. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just be careful, and you can negotiate a lot. Haggle. If you're good at haggling, I think you look like you can haggle very well.
Brazil, we have a we have a lot of videos, because of Brazilians living in Italy or in Paris. And I remember one video of a guy that he was in the subway in Paris, and some girls tried to play the pickpocket with him, and then he started like,
Oh,
"What do you think you are? I'm Brazilian. You think that you can do that to a Brazilian?"
I'm going to pickpocket you.
Yeah, where's your phone? Where's your phone? Yeah, you don't even know where's your phone now because it disappeared first. Then you try to pickpocket me. you know. Yeah, we make a lot of fun with this. When Europeans try to be sneaky with us, like you're talking to a Brazilian.
The thing is, some don't even look Brazilian, you know?
Yeah, because we are all mixed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's for me, I look more Egyptian or Arabic, but
Yeah.
a lot of Brazilians, they don't look. I'm going to meet with a friend. My ex-colleague. I used to work for a company, and her name is Letitia. She's also Brazilian, and I have a recording with her in a few weeks. I didn't know she was Brazilian, like when I started working with her. And after how many weeks, she looked, I don't know, what did she look? Maybe, I don't know, mix of Spanish and Italian or something like that, Portuguese maybe.
Yeah,
So,
once I went to Austria, and I was with those excursions, and the tourist guide, he read my name because my name is actually Paula Aline Prearo Yelas. And then he was like, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm Brazilian." "But you have this Italian Prearo last name, and then there's this Balkan Slovene last name." And then he said, "Forget it. I will not try to understand this."
yeah, but you don't do that like the Italian. You do this. I noticed you do this. This is your signature.
We use a lot of the hands because I grew up in a city that had 75% of Italian immigration. So we use a
Ah,
lot of the hands because there's this culture heritage.
I thought it's a teacher thing because my wife also, she uses her hand a lot. I tell her she needs a license for like a weapon or something. 'Cause sometimes I walk past her, she goes in my face.
It's a Brazilian mixed thing, because we had a
Yeah.
lot of Italian, Spanish, German, Japanese immigrants, and then it mixed a lot. For example, in the south of Brazil, we have a lot of German heritage, and a Brazilian friend, came today to my place, and she's from the south, and she said that there it's really like totally different. Because yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just funny. It's funny when you move a lot or you see a lot of people from different cultures, how different they are. But
yeah.
really, they are the same. But it's just the outside. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
at the end of the day, we are all the same with barriers that we created to, I don't know, that's
yeah, yeah. So what would you say about Slovenia and Brazil? So if I can't decide between both countries, I really want to leave my home. I'm tired of Switzerland, or I'm tired where I am. I know they're both completely opposites, you said, but if I have a family, my wife, kids, where would you recommend I would go?
Brazil. I know that you are very worried about safety and such, but if you go and live in a small city in Brazil, it's not gonna be like, oh, wow, everyone's gonna steal everything I have or kill me or kidnap me. So I would
Just join the gang.
yeah, join the gang. I would go definitely to Brazil. And I always tell my husband, when I retire, the next day I am there at the airport. you know? Of course, nowadays that we moved the cities, that I live 20 minutes away from my job because before we were commuting and it was hell. I'm happy here. You know, I'm happy.
That's good.
I have my job that I wanted so much. I have my independence. Some way, somehow, I'm dealing with the language. I understand a lot. So I consider that I succeed here. So I am happy. Today, I am happy. But I am a nationalist. I love my country. I love Brazil. I love being Brazilian and, I love my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really good. It's good because it's different to me. I was fed up with Germany. I left. I was fed up with the UK. I left.
Yeah.
So for you, it's like you still have those good moments, good memories. You want to go back one day. So for you, actually, I envy you a little bit, because for me, it's like, okay, I love Switzerland, but I don't know if I would live there for the rest of my life because I like a different vibe, like the British people. If it was Switzerland with the English people, I would have loved it, you know? So maybe it's Brazil. I'll see one day.
Once it grabs you, it's hard. It's hard. I don't know this year how it's gonna be because now I am in a new apartment and all of that. Life has changed positively, but every time that I go to Brazil, I'm okay at the airport when I'm coming back, but then the following months I am like, you know. So, but this year I want to see how it's gonna be. I was in Brazil in February actually, but just for a week, and I had not moved to this new city that we are and this new apartment. So, okay, I was waiting for all of these changes. So this year when I go to Brazil in July, I want to see how I will react also when coming back. If I will be okay or if I will be like, come on, you know. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
That's it's so cool that when you move, you just the comparisons, the things that you notice you miss from back home, and then you maybe you moved because you got married, but it's also can be a confirmation that actually, yeah, Brazil is the one I want to live for the rest of my life
Yeah.
because you tried something else. There's like so much that happen when you move. So thank you for sharing and opening up and
Oh
your
my.
story. And it took me 11 episodes to hear the toughest story. So you had the toughest story today and the deepest one. And so I appreciate it. I know it's not easy to, just talk to a stranger and it's online. And so, yeah, if there's anything you want me to cut out or not, you don't want it
No.
to go online or anything.
I am Brazilian. I am an open book. I am very proud of my story, and that's it. That's the story of a fighter. That's how life is, and I'm very proud of it, honestly. And one day, who knows, I will write a book.
I was going to say one day I'm going to see you as the president of Brazil and making things better.
You know what's funny? That everyone says that I am gonna be a politician. It's so funny because my husband used to say that. My friends used to write the name of a politician that is a Brazilian politician because he was very, like with all the words. And when I was at college, that I was gonna present something, a seminar or something, they would go behind on the board and write the name of the politician, saying that I would be. Because I think that deep down, that's the biggest dream of my life, to go back to Brazil and involve myself in some social cause and help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fed up with the rich politician. They never been through any struggles. They don't know how it
Yeah.
is. And then they making up policies and things that don't make any sense. So don't forget me when you get there.
No.
We can do it like a part 2,
Yeah. Wow. That's going to be, yeah.
before and after.
Yeah. For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And also, thanks for all the tradition, the footballers. I'm a big football fan, so all the amazing, not just the food,
Yeah.
the Ronaldinho, the Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Romarios, on all the footballers that
Yeah.
Brazil have.
You know that my husband, he's actually Croatian, you know. He was born here, but the whole family is Croatian. And this week, Brazil had a friendly match with Croatia.
Yes.
And he was like, when it's a friendly match, you guys win. But then when comes the real thing, there, you guys lose. I said, that we're going to see. And he was really pissed, you know?
Yeah, it's sometimes you need that little bit, teasing. And
Yeah.
because I support Bayern in Germany, my wife is Arsenal London, so we also have this. So yeah. But when it comes to international, actually, I support Brazil. I love Brazil. Yeah,
Yeah.
I UK and Brazil. I support really. So
And most just to finish, most of these football players, they came from slums, and football
yeah,
gave them a chance to have a different life. Otherwise, they would be, most of them, what, drug dealing.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
you
exactly.
know.
Give them purpose.
Yes, you know.
Paula, thank you so much again.
Yeah,
Appreciate your time.
it was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you're ever in Switzerland or if you need anything, feel free to reach out. You have my number and
Thank you
stay in
so much.
touch. And
You too.
hope to see you soon. And I wish you all the best. I hope everything goes as you planned and as you wish.
Yeah. Plan, I don't know, but now I'm gonna start believing that maybe one day I will be a politician.
Amazing. At least I helped with something small today with
Yeah.
setting that seed, another seed in your mind to go for it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.